Hey everybody, this is Shay. I've got some new software to help do some video demos for you all that will hopefully make this a little bit easier for you to learn how to use InDesign. Sometimes these things are easy to understand with like a little written guide, but sometimes just a quick video makes a lot more sense. So real quickly I'm going to show you how to use the pen tool, which you may need if you're working on your final comprehensive for assignment 1. You may have some organic shapes, some curvy shapes, or just some odd shapes that aren't a square or a circle or a polygon that you want to draw. The way you would do that is you would use the pen tool, which is this guy right here. So select that tool, and the way it works is as you click your mouse button, the left mouse button, it lays down a point and connects that point with a line to the previous or the following point. So every time I put a point down, you'll see that it draws a point and connects that line. Now once you've got your shape, what you may want to do is you rather than just a line, you may want it to be a closed shape. And if you look and zoom in a little bit, as I hover the pen tool over this first point I drew, I get that circle. If I click right there, that completes that shape. It joins those 2 points into a new closing point. Sometimes it can be a little fiddly. If you're not quite exactly on the point, you'll see that this little weird corner. That's kind of an indicator that you haven't actually closed the point. So you can undo that with Edit Undo Path Points, and it will undo that click and let you try it again. So it might take a little getting used to be able to close that, but that's probably worth learning how to do. So we've got a really angular shape we've created. The other way the pen tool works is you can click, and then on your next point click and drag, and it will connect those lines with a curved line. So then you can kind of start to draw out more organic shapes. It still works the same in principle. You're just connecting points to points. And again, we want to close that, so we click, and this time drag, and you can see that you still have a curve there. Now what's happened is where we started to draw, I just did a point and then clicked and drag. And then when I connected that, you see that this handle moves separately from the handle on the other side of the point. Where if you look at this point and select, and I'm using the direct selection tool to select individual points, when you do that you can move and edit just that point. And when you click on a point, you'll see that it's got a handle on each side. You can click those handles, drag them in, drag them out, and reshape those curves. Now it didn't happen here because of the way I initially drew this point. So now I've got a handle on one side and it creates this angle, which sometimes I may want that, right? You might have a situation where you want a really hard angle in the middle of an organic shape. That's okay. But to fix that, under the pen tool, there's the Convert Direction Point tool. So if you select that, click on that point that you want to fix, and drag it, it creates a point now with 2 handles and makes them just like the others. So you can kind of smooth out these curves if you want to and make it a truly curved shape. Okay. The other thing you can do is, if you kind of rough out your shape with a series of angular point clicks, you can select that shape and select the Convert Direction tool, click on any of those points and drag, and it will convert those to curved lines. Again, as I click, you can see that it changes and adds these 2 handles on either side of the point, which will let you kind of start to reshape that. And you don't have to do them all. So here we have a place where we have this really straight, angular connection, but just above we can kind of mix curved lines and sharp edges, I guess. So there's how to kind of create some organic shapes. And again, the way the convert direction tool works is it goes either way. Really, if we want to take an angled corner and make it curve, we can do that. But if you click it, it turns it into a more angular connection. So this shape we started as all curves. If I click each of those points with the convert tool, now I've got this angular shape. Okay. So the pen tool is a really powerful tool. You can draw. It's going to allow you to draw all kind of organic curved lines and all of that that you may need. Other than, you know, you don't always want just a straight line connected at an angle. So kind of play around with the pen tool and get used to using that. A couple of other things. Again, when you're drawing lines, you can select that line, and up here, the same as you could fill a shape with a color, you can also change your line color here. You can also change the width of that. You can also, using this pop-up, select different types of lines. So that'll give you a little more variety in building certain kind of shapes and imagery. If you wanted to do a dashed line, you could click. Now you have a dashed line. And as you decrease that size, you can see more of that dash there. So that's really just a quick tutorial on how to use the pen tool. It's a complicated tool to use, but once you kind of figure out how it works and kind of play around, it's extremely powerful and going to give you a lot more options in the type of imagery you create in InDesign. And then later on, if you ever decide to use something like Adobe Illustrator, this tool is a big part of that program and works exactly the same way. Now there is another option for some of these free-form lines. It's called the pencil tool, and basically you click it and you can draw out your shape. Now what happens with the pencil tool is it follows the shape you just drew, but it adds a lot of these points in there, and it kind of overcomplicates the shape sometimes. And you know, the fewer of these points you have, sometimes the smoother that line can be. And just like anything else with this direct selection tool, you can go in and grab these points and alter them. Now, if you wanted to try to clean that up a little bit, you could grab the pen tool with the minus sign, and it's the delete anchor point tool. And that's what these points are called. They're called anchor points. If you click on those with that tool selected, it will start to remove some of those. So you can go in and clean that up a little bit if you would rather kind of draw your line out with the pencil tool rather than the pen tool. That's certainly an option, and this will let you kind of refine that a little bit and clean up some of those excess points. But I wanted to kind of give you all a better way to understand how the pen tool works. It's not one of those that translates really well to written step by step, but I think sometimes this will help you see better and understand better how to do it. So that's this video demo. Let me know how this works for you, and if it's good and helpful, then I'll do more of these and work a lot more of these into the course. So take a look at it, play around with the pen tool, and hopefully you'll find it really helpful and easy to use. Thanks.